Okay, hello everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Sam's Financial Corner. And in today's episode, we're going to talk about a tech startup in San Francisco named Greptile. And the CEO, I want to make sure I say his name right. It's Daksh Gupta. He wants his employees willing to work 84 hours a week. 84 hours a week basically translates to 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. And here is his rationale. He believes that in order to be competitive, companies need to work hard. That means you got to be able to work around the clock. That means you have to be able to be on because competition is rampant and you want to be able to set yourself up with the competitive advantage of basically being on. And I can understand the thought process behind that. I can understand that he would, wants to be competitive, but I think this is where a lot of CEOs kind of miss the mark. And I'm taking my time a little bit because I want to make sure that I articulate this correctly. Because this reminds me of I watched this guy was giving a talk some time ago, and this guy owned, I believe, a restaurant. And he said, I want to know why my employees, they don't work hard, they don't give their all, they don't do this, they don't that. And he was just basically nagging about their commitment to the organization. And the guy looked at him and basically, and I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, are they owners? And he said, no, but, and the guy brought it back around again and said, but are they owners? He said, you want your employees who do not have an ownership stake in the company to work like you do, who does. And his point was your benefit as an owner far exceeds their benefit as being employees, which is true. And I bring that up because I'm not going to necessarily say that this is the case with Mr. Gupta and his organization, but I think a lot of CEOs and executive level management at these large firms miss the fact that their compensation, and when I say compensation, I'm not just talking about money. When you reach a certain level, you have employment contracts. You receive certain benefits that normal employees don't. And I think sometimes executive management misses the mark. I think in Mr. Gupta's case, he really wants his AI startup named Greptile to flourish. He wants it to succeed. And he's like, basically, he wants everyone to be on. And I'm going to go over some pros and cons, and then I'm going to give my final thoughts. So, basically, when it comes to the pros, a lot of times these startups get stock options, which can really pay off if the company goes public. It can make people millionaires, and so there's that benefit. Um, Also, there is a certain type of experience that you gain with starting with a company at the ground up. It makes you have the ability to see a company go from maybe small to medium to even large in a short amount of time. That does allow you, depending on your role in the entity, it does allow you some type of, maybe I want to say, career advantage or just experience that other people may not have. Also, if you were there when the company started and it gains a level of success, having your name and saying I was there from day one or from when the company was small to the size it is now, being able to tie yourself with that name can be a pro in your career depending on what you want to do. Now, of course, I'm going to list the cons, and basically, you can come with your own. There may be others, but I want to note that when you work like this, like let's say, because in the news segment, he did kind of narrow it down a little bit and said he really wants his employees to work basically 12-hour days, 5 days a week, and sometimes evenings and weekends. So he was a little bit flexible with the weekends, but basically, in a nutshell, working 60 plus hours a week. When you do that, you really don't have a social life. Your life is completely work. You're working around the clock. And that doesn't allow you time for a social life, and it doesn't allow you time to make friends with not make friends, I'm sorry, to connect with your friends and with your family. And oftentimes, those personal relationships suffer. And I want to take a moment to say this one thing that over my years of following the stock market and listening to CEOs, when the question comes up about regret, it's never about their business decisions. Even in other countries, I've heard them say that they wish they spent more time with their family and friends. And I think that that is one of the biggest things that we forget, that we're human beings and that human connections matter. And yes, we all want to work hard, we want to have a level of success. And depending on your role in the organization, it can be, especially your CEO, it's very demanding. You're kind of like almost on call all the time. But if you don't take time out for your family, especially your family, you don't get that time back. The next thing I want to say as a con is probably oftentimes poor health and eating habits. You're on the go 24/7. You oftentimes don't get the opportunity to eat healthy. I mean, you can. You see, you're rich. You can have somebody prepare your meals, stuff like that. But you're constantly on the go. You're constantly moving. You're constantly doing something. So you don't get time to rest. And if you constantly and consistently keep going and going and going without any rest, eventually you'll experience burnout, which a lot of people will experience even when they're not in the executive suite. The last con, non-existent work-life balance. That's kind of self-explanatory. That's why a lot of people are in an uproar, because you're working for life. You just basically, that's your life is work. You don't have any type of balance. You don't spend any time with friends or family. And I really want to say, because I already said that as one con, but there's that time of just doing the things that you like to do. When do you get the time to read? When do you get the time to watch a movie? When do you get time to really do anything? If you're always working, you're exhausted, you're tired, and all of that drains and depletes us, I think, in ways that we sometimes oftentimes ignore. And I think that's why sometimes things can also lead to depression amongst other things. So I've listed the pros, I've listed the cons, and my final thought is simply this. Oh, and don't forget to please like, comment, subscribe, all the good stuff. I would say that for the average American, this don't do it. Don't do it. Because it's just going to deplete you, it's just going to drain you. I would say even if you choose to do it, be sure that the reward is worth the risk. I can't tell people what to do. You have to make the decision for yourself. For me, absolutely not. I barely want to work the 40 hours I do, just to be honest. And on another note, there were studies that were done, and God, I can't remember them off the top of my head, but discussing the 6 hour, I think they tested it in Japan and maybe in Switzerland or the Netherlands. Don't quote me on those places. But they tested the 6 hour workday and they found that people were more productive. And I know that the U.S., it would have to take an act of God for the U.S. to really consider moving to a 6 hour workday. But I think though it would be a lot more. In those studies, they showed that work was done and that it was completed and that productivity increased. And I agree, because guess what? You're only working 6 hours a day. It gives you more time for yourself. It gives you more time for your family. You get more time to rest in between days. And those 2 hours make a big difference for a lot of people. A lot of people would be able to go pick up their kids from work. A lot of times, companies don't want to allow employees to have flexible work schedules. But a lot of times, I'm going to just say this and then I'm going to close. I do feel like what it means to work and productivity, I feel we still have those mindset of the factory days, and it's outdated, and it's time that companies update them. But it's kind of hard when the people who need to retire are at a place where they don't want to. And one of the things we got to think about, and we're going to see that a lot of people can't afford to. So I'll leave you with that. Thank you for watching. Please, again, like, comment, and subscribe. And let me know your thoughts. Would you be willing to work an 84-hour work week if you felt the payoff would give you stock options that could potentially make you a millionaire? Let me know in the comments. I'll see you all in the next episode. Bye bye. Take care.